And welcome inside the Mullins Center, where you'll find the hottest team in the Atlantic 10 today. VCU brings a conference-best 6-game win streak to town, while UMass has been pretty good on their home court recently as well. They have won their last 2 games right here. Game 2 of today's A-10 doubleheader featuring the Minutemen playing host to the Rams, and we are all set for tip. Thanks for being with us, Paul Burmeister, alongside former Atlantic 10 head coach Dave Paulson. I know you spent time, you've been here the last couple of days. You've spent time watching both teams practice. What's your headline before we tip here today?
Well, I think you've got an elite defense in VCU. They're the #2 team in the country at defending the three-point arc. And UMass is the 8th best three-point shooting team. Something's got to give.
VCU comes in, as I mentioned, conference best 6 consecutive wins. They arrived a couple of days early to beat the snowstorm yesterday. Practiced here twice yesterday. The second was just a shoot-around last night. And the Rams draw an early foul. And Dave, even though, take a peek at the keys to the game here, Dave, what do you see?
Well, again, as I said, VCU, when they're playing on offense, they want to keep the ball hot. They want to keep it moving. Mike Rhodes said that's really been a key to their better offensive play. And then they got to limit the threes for UMass. UMass has to be composed against this full court pressure. And then they got to really keep Ace Baldwin under check. And the first possession right there on cue, 10-second violation against that full court pressure. VCU, one of the absolute best in the country at turning teams over.
The names have changed at VCU, but one thing remains the same, that full court pressure. And right away, they come up with that steal. Mike Rhodes in his 5th season as the VCU head coach. He was here for 5 years as an assistant coach, then a head coach at Rice for 3 before coming back to VCU.
Well, Mike
the early
Rhodes
turnover here against VCU.
Yeah, Mike Rhodes has done a phenomenal job with this team. Again, Bones Highland was supposed to be in the lineup, and Jameer Watkins, another elite player who got hurt. But they're really playing well. Not a good start, though, with 2 turnovers on 2 first possessions.
You mentioned Bones Highland. We saw him All-Star Weekend, the first-round pick of the Nuggets and the A-10 Player of the Year last year. No longer a part of the VCU squad. So UMass came in with a winning record in the pre-A-10 portion of their season. They arrived here to the conference season at 7-5. They then lost their first 4 A-10 games. They've alternated wins and losses in their last 10 games. The deep 3 as the shot clock ran down.
Well, Paul, UMass lives with a 3-point shot, but they've got to get the 3-point off inside out. Their possession, the ball never touched the paint. No dribble penetration, no post feeds. Makes it really, really hard to shoot a long shot from 28 feet with no post presence.
Hey, UMass coming out with the full court press right away.
Yeah. You know, one thing that VCU has been a little turnover prone, as we saw in their first 2 possessions, and they want to dictate the terms of engagement.
The turnover has been the friend and the enemy for VCU, as Dave mentioned. They lead the A-10 and turnovers created. They also have committed the most turnovers. Inside to Hassan Ward. And Trent Buttrick spent 4 years at Penn State before coming over here to Amherst with his first rebound. Rich Kelly back out to Stedman's been playing his best basketball the last 2 games. And he misfires, and we are still looking for our first bucket here. VCU and UMass. Mike Rhodes saying he wanted to see the ball hot there in these early possessions. He talked about pace, don't hang on to it too long, catch, pass, see if we can get that defense moving. Another turnover here against VCU, team that leads the conference in committing turnovers. Right back to UMass, the man with the ball. 49% Rich Kelly shooting the 3, best in the A-10. With turnovers all around here to get started. None to Baldwin, back out to Curry for the wide open 3. And there's our first basket.
And that's what VCU needed, just to see the ball go through the basket. KeShawn Curry's been playing really, really well. Sparked the team in their win at Fordham when they were really struggling. And I think that'll help VCU settle down a little bit.
All about the threes here for UMass. Dave has mentioned it, but they've attempted more three-pointers than any team in the A-10. They've made more three-pointers. And they're also close to the top at percentage. That close works best, though. That's Trent Buttrick.
That's what they need to do, Paul. They need to drive the ball, get inside, and then the threes will open up. That's a good scene from Buttrick.
The defense has been a real issue, though, for UMass so far, giving up more points than any team in the A-10. And that is back-to-back threes now for VCU. Vince Williams.
And the one thing that Matt McCall emphasized in practice yesterday and in shoot-around is to not give Williams any open threes, and that was uncontested. It's not acceptable defense.
Excited to watch number 10 there play for VCU. Vince Williams, one of the most versatile players in the Atlantic 10. Kelly known for his threes all the way in, couldn't get the lefty to go. And now Curry pushes the pace. He already has 1 3, kicks it back up to Williams. But Williams, as a senior, Dave, career best in points, rebounds, assists, field goal percentage. Has 1 3, looks for a second, and the rebound of Weeks.
He's just been really efficient in conference play. Really impressed with the maturity of Vince Williams.
You spent time with Matt McCall, the head coach for UMass. What kind of feeling did you get when you were around him this week?
Well, I think, they're struggling to win games in A-10 play, but I really like the spirit at their practice. They're energized, they're focused, and these guys are fighting really hard.
Stedman with that bucket there. I mentioned he's been playing his best, averaging 13 and 5 the last couple of games and making more than half of his shots, elevating his production here as February gets set to turn to March.
Looks like Curry got hit on that one, no call by the officials, and that, depending on the jump ball, that's another turnover. VCU's got the ability to score in a variety of ways, and he gets other guys' shots.
When you were coaching against him as the head coach at George Mason, I mean, his three-point percentage was usually in the 20s. He was 26 last year. He's well up into the 40s this year.
Yeah, he really has progressed a lot. Mike Rhodes talked about that a lot, about how he worked when he was injured. Just did form shooting, standing underneath the basket in his boot, and it's really paid off.
Mike Rhodes, the head coach, a lot of praise to Ace Baldwin, number 1, for his defense, and Vince Williams, who wears number 10, for his defense as well. Shot clock at 5, and that shot will not count from TJ Weeks. The foul called just before the shot went up. And UMass will keep the possession here.
Well, the one thing you see about Ace Baldwin, and there's the graphics about it. Their scoring is up. They're 14 and 3 with Ace in the lineup. But also, if he played enough games, he would be leading the league in steals. So he really wreaks havoc on the defensive end as well.
Fernandez in and out. Stedman fighting for the offensive board. And the possession goes back to VCU.
30-second timeout. UMass.
A 30-second timeout here. And one of the reasons that it's so amazing that Ace Baldwin is even playing, and we showed the graphic that how much better the Rams have been, how much more they're producing, especially offensively with him back. They didn't really expect to have him at this point. He tore his Achilles in May. He only missed 8 games this season before he came back.
When I had a chance to go visit VCU practice early in the fall, and Mike Rhodes just raved about how hard Ace worked on his rehab. And just relentless, and the best that their athletic training staff has ever seen a kid come back. And, he just wills the team to victory in a lot of ways. I said, his defensive presence, stealing the ball. Mike Rhodes talks a lot about keeping the ball hot, getting the ball moving. He does that. And the last thing that Mike Rhodes talked about is when things go wrong on the court, Ace looks at him and said, "I got it, coach." And it's great to have a leader on the court.
And we were talking to him about recruiting. He said, I like to have as many "I got it" guys as possible. Guys who look at you and say, "Coach, I got it."
You want the guys who say, "I got it," to actually have it, though. Sometimes I had guys who said, "I got it," and they didn't really have it, Paul.
They were leading you astray. Stedman to Buttrick. Shot clock now inside of 10. Fernandez with 4 to shoot. Freshman Nunn guarding. Difficult runner. And the foul called against Ace Baldwin inside. Outmatched there, at least from a rebounding standpoint, against Stedman.
Well, Paul, nothing is easy for UMass right now. Just great pressure. You look at Nunn just contesting, and Fernandez is 5'11". He's a really good player, but Nunn's got that 6'4" length, and everything is challenged. And the one thing about VCU's pressure is cumulative. So the teams shoot a lower percentage in the second half because of that pressure.
Big upset earlier in the Atlantic 10. Dayton going down. One of the teams sharing second place entering the weekend with VCU. They lose to LaSalle. VCU can now move into second place all by itself with a win here today. 3 to shoot. Stedman with the jump hook. Draws the foul. And he'll go to the line. That's against Jalen DeLoach, 6'9" freshman.
And that's got to frustrate Mike Rhodes because, again, another good defensive possession, and then they go and they foul. And the one thing about Stedman on the scouting report, he wants to turn to his left shoulder every single time. The possession before, they didn't allow him to get to his left shoulder. He went to his right shoulder, shot a left-hand jump hook, and missed badly. So that's, the type of thing. DeLoach is a freshman. Got to understand the scouting report. Don't bail a guy out.
6'10" senior, makes his second, has played at Montana and also San Jose State. Averaging over 12 points the last 4 games, the best 4-game run of his season.
Again, UMass picking up with a little full court pressure as well. They want to make it hard for Ace Baldwin to get the ball. That was one of the keys. Try to deny him the ball because everything is initiated with Ace at the point.
Baldwin averaging over 6 assists per game the last 4. Misfires there, new shot clock. And left wide open is Vince Williams. He has 1 3. He's now 1 for 3 shooting from range. And Fernandez with a rebound. Back out to Buttrick. Weeks had Buttrick inside. Back to Stedman. Former Penn State Nittany line with it. 1-on-1 against Vince Williams. Fade away and look at your point guard go up and sky for that rebound. Now Baldwin pushing the pace.
That's a great defensive rebound by Baldwin. Mike Rhodes has said he really wants him to get in there and get 5 or 6 rebounds. And then he finds a cutting Curry to the basket. One thing I've noticed about KeShawn Curry, he's one of the best corner cutters in the game. He was in the deep corner, curled in for an easy layup. Team
that leads the A-10 in turnovers created gets 1 there, and Vince Williams will go to the line to shoot 2.
And Paul, that's the thing about VCU. They don't look like they're playing well, but here you see Curry making what they call a corner cut. He was in the deep corner, makes a little circle cut on Ace Baldwin's penetration. Ace has that ability to find him. And this is how VCU has to score. Get a great defensive rebound, get out in transition, get a steal. They score in flurries.
Mike Rhodes told us 2 days ago when we were talking to him, Dave, he said Vince Williams finds so many ways to impact the game on offense. So I went searching for a couple of numbers to support that, and I found so many. And then I saw this. He's the only player in the A-10 to average at least 10 points a game, 6 rebounds a game, over 2 steals, and also a block per game.
Yeah, his numbers in conference play are ridiculous, and I think we'll show a graphic later on, but he's shooting 56% from the floor, 48% from 3, 82 from the line, 2-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. He's one of the best players in the A-10 without a doubt because he impacts winning.
Theme continues, and he mentioned that impacts winning on both ends of the court. Really praised his defense as well. Another turnover for UMass leads to a look inside. Strickland couldn't find the rim. And now UMass will try to find a little rhythm offensively. And really, offense has been the best thing they've had going for them this year, Dave. Averaging 75 points per game, top 3 in the league. But here we are.
They haven't played against the defense like VCU.
Kelly deep, another rebound to Baldwin. Curry brings that one back out. Tsohonis, transfer from Washington, runner in the lane, will find its way in. Pretty good score last year in the Pac-12. Marcus Tsohonis at Washington, averaging in double figures, finds his first here today.
Well, I think that one went off the UMass player. A lucky break for UMass, but this pressure is just wearing down UMass. They're catching the ball 2 steps further out than where they're used to. They're shooting from 1 or 2 steps out further than what they're used to, and they're shooting over great length. And here comes Kern into the game, and Mike Rhodes just keeps putting interchangeable parts out there. He talked about having an army coming off the bench and really pressuring the other team.
Mike Rhodes told us on Thursday that limiting the threes, that's the most important thing. UMass, they've only shot 2, and they haven't made 1 yet. Inside to Stedman.
Keep him off his left shoulder. He really wants to go left shoulder.
Working on Stockard.
And it looks like he traveled. And there's Stockard executing a scouting report. And watching film of Stedman, 90% of his moves go to his left shoulder, and he really cannot function going back to the right shoulder. Stockard, really good job staying on that left shoulder.
Stockard at 6'8", giving up 2 inches there against Stedman, but as you pointed out, terrific job. And VCU up 12-5. It's been such an interesting February for The VCU Rams starting out with a loss and now 6 consecutive wins. First, and I'll let the former A-10 head coach Dave Paulson explain what Vince Williams means to this team.
Well, one of the ways that I evaluate shooters is you add up their field goal percentage overall, their three-point percentage, and their free throw percentage. And NBA scouts talk about this a lot. If you're between 160 and 170, you're pretty good. 170 to 180, you're really good. Above 180 is elite shooting. Vince Williams at 187.1, that's as good a number as I've seen in the 7 years that I've been around the A-10.
Career best now as a senior: points, rebounds, assists, shooting percentage, as Dave just pointed out. He has 1-3 here today. Has the ball now. Working on Greg Jones. Back out to Tsohonis. Wonderful bounce pass inside, and the foul. The true freshman, Nick Kern Jr. will go to the line for the old-fashioned 3.
You know, one of the things about this, they're really trying to deny Ace Baldwin. But the downside of that is that it takes away the help defender, and Kern does a great job cutting back door. VCU has an answer for whatever UMass is trying to do on the defensive end.
Already hit his average, 2 points and 1 board per game. 6'6" freshman from St. Louis. Makes it a 3-point play, and VCU right now on an 8-0 run.
They're stepping up the pressure even a little bit more. UMass has just not been able to get anything going. You have to score inside. Stedman struggled. Fernandez gets swallowed up there by the size and the length of UMass. Greg
Jones wide open inside. Stops that 8-0 run.
Greg Jones scored 8 points in a row in the second half against LaSalle and really sparked UMass. He might be somebody who can help them get something going in the paint.
Stockard back to Baldwin. Shot clock now at 10. He's doubled up inside. Open look and tipped back out by Williams. Smart play. Tsohonis, his second runner from the lane, and Vince Williams wisely kicked that ball back out off the rebound.
Vince Williams should get credit for that basket. That's a great extra effort, energy play. It's the type of winning play that Mike Rhodes talks about.
Talked about all the ways statistically he's done well. There will be no stat for that, but he kept that possession alive and led to 2 points. Open 3 passed up there. Kelly now 8 to shoot. UMass looking for its first 3. 1 to shoot. And back out to Fernandez. This could be their first 3 in and out. And the rebound to Kern. Baldwin. Williams in the corner. Slows it down.
An isolation inside. Mismatch there with Stockard and Rich Kelly. They wisely look for him and get the foul.
Well, how about that for a mismatch there, Dave? 6'8" Levi Stockard against Rich Kelly, 6'1", guarding him inside.
And that's a generous 6'1". Well, one thing about VCU's defense, it's elite, but they've given up too many offensive rebounds. It's been a problem area for them all season long. They've kind of corrected it last 2 games. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I think they've probably given up 4 or 5 offensive rebounds already.
Mike Rohn said in the last couple of games, both wins as they're on a 6-game win streak, offensive rebounds and free throws have been much better for his team.
Yes, and needs to continue.
Ward to Baldwin, 7 to shoot. Hassan Ward turnaround, and the rebound to Kelly.
Hassan Ward was playing really, really well before he sprained his ankle at Fordham. He's still limited. He doesn't have his rhythm. You can see that. He looked off balance. His development will be key if VCU wants to play deep into March.
I missed that game last weekend, ball out of bounds. Another turnover by UMass. And VCU, we talked about it right at the top, how they lead the A-10 in creating turnovers, and they have just continued with that from the tip here today.
Yeah, he had a good graphic there of Ward. He's a great runner, he's a great jumper, but he's not quite right yet with his ankle.
6 turnovers for UMass. Tsohonis has a pair of buckets inside. That one rattled in and out. Before Jones comes up with the rebound. Fernandez, top scorer, top assist man for UMass. Yet to get on the board. And they just can't find it. Still looking for that first 3. Vince Williams spin inside the lane, kicks it back outside. Open 3 for Kern. And another rebound for Jones.
That was the right play, though, by Vince Williams. A really mature, unselfish pass play. Looked like Jones got away with a walk, knocked down the three.
Jones with a rebound and then the three. Prior to that shot, UMass had not made a three, and they were shooting only 3 for 16 from the field. Now down 7. We'll see if that can get them going. Williams, after a spin, pulls up, not close. And the foul called against Kern, the freshman for VCU, so it'll come back to UMass.
You know, you look at the graphic of UMass, they're 39% from 3, 8th in the country, 10.2 makes per game, 11th in the country, and it wasn't until Jones, the 5-man trailing the action, that they actually got on the board. But on the other end, Paul, I don't like the way VCU is playing offensively. They're really ragged right now, and they've got to settle down. They're just fortunate that UMass is struggling as much as they are to score.
VCU not exactly shooting it well either, Dave. As you mentioned, they're only 6 out of 16. Meanwhile, UMass, they made a shot in the last time down court, but they made just 1 of their last 9, and that's an easy foul to call there against Hassan Ward.
And there's the danger of being super aggressive like VCU is. You know, Mike Rhodes said there's that fine line of teaching your guys to be aggressive and physical without fouling too much. And as we said before, the 2 problem areas for VCU defense, they give up too many offensive rebounds and they foul too much. They have to curb that a little bit if they're going to play at the top of the A-10.
That was team foul number 6 against the Rams, so the next one will send UMass to the line for the 1-and-1. Fernandez back up to Kelly. And now going to the line will be Garcia. Draws the foul against Tsohonis.
You can't take anything for granted, but that will certainly have a negative impact on Dayton's at-large NCAA tournament resume.
Javon Garcia makes the first of 2, and from here on out, that was the 7th foul against VCU, so UMass in the bonus for the rest of the way. Just inside 8 minutes in this first half.
And that's a way for UMass to hang around, getting to the foul line, getting on the offensive glass. VCU's got to tighten that part up.
Boy, VCU with a bucket there by Tsohonis. They broke that full court press awfully easy. Meanwhile, Fernandez, top scorer and assist man for the Minutemen. Not on the board there in that category. Kelly tried to get it inside to Jones, had the ball knocked away. Kelly, top 3-point man here for the Minutemen, stuck inside and takes an extra step.
The pressure and the athleticism of VCU's defense is really frustrating Kelly. He just can't get a clean look. They have to continue to get the ball inside. Jones gave them 5 straight points. I think they got to keep looking at Jones.
Mike Rhodes was telling us about how February got so much better for his Rams after they lost by 30 against Dayton to start February. Now with 6 consecutive wins, he said, we haven't changed anything offensively. We've just improved offensively, in particular the shot selection. And that's a good look there. Chance now for a 3-point play for KeShawn Curry, but the shot selection, he said, has gotten much better as this month has gotten longer.
Well, you know what? He talked about the ball being hot. Here's the pass, another pass, and then the unselfish final pass for the chance for the and one. And that's the type of thing that teams start doing better. It all started with Ace coming off the ball screen, find Hassan Ward, and then the great kick. Keeping the ball hot has been a theme for Mike Rhodes. And they were really struggling offensively, and then they got loose when they broke that press against UMass. To me, you want to keep VCU in front of you.
KeShawn Curry having the best month of his career for Mike Rhodes, and he was telling us how proud he is of him, averaging 14 points per game this month and making over half of his shots. And has been a factor here this afternoon, just completes the 3-point play.
Mike Rhodes said if you play hard, you play with a clear mind, the ball has a way of finding you. And a lot of VCU guys are playing hard with a clear mind.
Garcia misses. Baldwin pushes it up to Tsohonis. He has 3 baskets already. Inside, and that was before the shot. Mikael Brown-Jones, 6'8", sophomore out of Philadelphia, was fouled before, just as he went to the basket there.
And Mikael Brown-Jones is a guy, had 15 points in 6 minutes and 6 rebounds in 15 minutes against George Mason, 11 and 7 in 10 minutes against Richmond. He's one of those guys playing with a clear mind, playing hard, and the ball's finding him.
Mentioned a moment ago, Dave, the Rams run an 8-0 run. Now they're on a 5-0 run and make it 7-0 as they continue to own the inside here.
That's a good sign for VCU. Hassan Ward getting on the scoreboard. It isn't interesting. He had the assist on the last play, and then he finds a way to get an easy bucket.
Another miss there from deep. Trent Buttrick. Kelly, this would be his first. And that's be a foul against VCU on the rebound attempt there against Mikael Brown-Jones. 8th team foul against the Rams. So UMass will go back to the line.
And if you look at that last possession, you know, Rich Kelly was really forcing it. He was rushing it. He's way off balance. He's way out of rhythm. But VCU is fouling too much, and they're giving UMass a chance to score when the clock is stopped and to get a rhythm. If VCU can just stop fouling, I think UMass will really struggle to score.
UMass has now made 4 out of 5 free throws. As far as shooting from the field, they are just 4 out of 20. And their calling card, shooting the 3, they've made the most in the A-10. They're just 1 out of 7 from distance. Weeks goes 1 out of 2. Rebound to Curry. And Baldwin will kickstart another VCU possession here.
UMass has got to really be solid, sit down and guard, and make it be a challenge shot. Nothing easy in the interior like the last 2 possessions.
Tsohonis ends up with that one, had it knocked away by Garcia, and a foul called. And Tsohonis will go to the line. We talked about keeping the ball hot. Mike Rhodes said good pace, a lot of good passing here for the Rams.
Yeah, now I don't know if that was a good pass or it bobbled off his hands, but the result was okay. And again, UMass has to do a better job guarding the interior. You know, one of the things about UMass, they're 14th out of 14 in all the defensive metrics in the A-10, and especially their ability to guard at the 2-point line inside the arc. They're 14th out of 14. They've got to make it harder for VCU to score around the rim.
Matt McCall knows a busy stretch, the busiest stretch of UMass's season coming up. If you include today, they have 4 games in the next 8 days as they get ready for the Atlantic 10 tournament in Washington, D.C., which will start a week from Wednesday. Pressure is good once again for VCU and forces another turnover. That is turnover number 8 committed. And now the Rams give it right back.
The pressure is wearing down UMass, okay? And like one thing, Noah Fernandez, who was a phenomenal point guard, really played exceptionally well early in the season. He's not been as effective. I think he's wearing down through the strain of the season, and then this pressure by the athleticism of VCU is really wearing him down.
My goodness, speaking of, the 9th turnover committed by UMass.
On the other hand, VCU is not exactly putting on an offensive clinic in passing and catching. I know Mike Rhodes wants the ball to be hot. I don't think he means hot potato. He wants the ball to be caught by the guys in the same color jersey as his teammates.
Jaden Nunn, freshman out of Flint, Michigan, the one-time Iowa State commit, checks in, and the former Washington Husky Marcus Tsohonis checks out. It's really a testament to how well they're playing defense at VCU for Mike Rhodes that I can say they're second to last in scoring points in the Atlantic 10. Only Duquesne has scored fewer. But here they are, 1 game out of first place with a 6-game win streak.
Yeah, and I think, though, if you look at the numbers for conference play only, they're much better for VCU. They've really found their footing much more since Ace Baldwin came back.
KeShawn Curry, senior, continues to show up the way Mike Rhodes told us he would during the week. Playing the best basketball of his career, goes baseline there. 15-point lead for the Rams. Trent Buttrick knocks down his first 3. And now the deficit is 12.
And that's how UMass has to score. The ball touched the paint. Fernandez got a piece of the paint, drew the help, and then kicked it back out to Buttrick. That's how they get their 3s, inside out. That's really the first or maybe only second time that they've been able to do that.
Travel against Ace Baldwin, so a 3-pointer for the Minutemen. They force a turnover, see if they can get a little momentum going here. Now inside of 5 minutes until the halftime break. And
that's one of the things that Matt McCall said they wanted to do. They wanted to blitz Ace Baldwin, trap him on every ball screen. They hadn't been able to do that much until that point. They forced a turnover.
See if they can free Buttrick. Oh, they go back inside, and what a block by Vince Williams at 6'6", skies and gets all of that one. Nunn, the freshman, left wide open. And rebound ripped down by Dominguez. Versatility of Vince Williams on display here in this first half. Fernandez back to Dominguez. Pretty two. 5 straight points now for the Minutemen.
And all 5 of those points came because the ball touched the paint. There was cutting, there was activity going to the rim, either for a layup or an open three.
Williams to Nunn. Man-to-man defense now played. Inside, and just a little jump hook there for Jalen Deloach, 6'9" freshman out of Savannah, Georgia.
Yeah, and that's a really important play for him. Great penetration by Nunn. Found his teammate and his classmate. A little easy floater. 9
assists now for the Rams. Looks pretty good compared to the 5 for the Minutemen. Fernandez to Buttrick. Buttrick played 4 years at Penn State, made only 26 three-pointers. He has 44 this season. His one and only. And maybe an old-fashioned 3 coming up. Goes baseline, uses glass. And he'll have a chance to get that deficit to single digits.
For good reason. Is really, really proud of Bowens Highland. But I think Bowens' emergence took everyone at VCU and the rest of the league a little bit by surprise. I think Mike thought he'd have him at least for one more year. And you would talk about really having an electric backcourt with him and Ace Baldwin. And also, let's not forget Jameer Watkins, who had a great freshman year, who was out for the season with an injury. But it's a real testament to VCU how good they are withstanding those personnel losses.
Buttrick completes the three-point play, and a big step now for UMass. They get that lead back inside on the right side for them, a double digits now at just 9.
Looks like they're going to a little zone, try to keep VCU off balance. They said that Vince Williams, he's like the rover. We're going to watch Vince Williams because he can go anywhere he wants in this zone offense. They're going to try to find him. Great job finding Brown Jones beneath the baseline.
Boy, Ace Baldwin, a terrific look to Brown Jones, who goes up strong, gets the 2, and he'll have a chance to make it 3.
One thing in their games earlier in the year, Brown Jones has been really, really good against zone defenses. He just has a knack for finding those seams, cuts below on the baseline, and again, Ace finds him.
Mikael Brown Jones, 6'8" sophomore out of Philly. You don't get to say this very often. That's a three-point play. Back-to-back career highs. Last week, he had 11 points against Richmond. Comes back with 15 on Wednesday night.
And Mike Rhodes really proud of him because he's just worked hard, played hard, had a clear mind. And as he said, the ball finds you when you do the right things.
Talked a lot about having a clear mind, didn't he?
He really did. And I think that's so important always. But I think more and more and more with today's student athletes, just keeping them focused on what's important now and not getting worried in your playing time or how much you score or what your role is. Take care of the things you can control.
Well, Fernandez averages 14 points per game. That was his first bucket tonight. He actually came off a game Wednesday where he didn't score at all, went 0 for 5. And another wide open look inside for Brown Jones. Excellent job by the Rams of finding him inside on each of the last 2 possessions.
I think it's really important for teams if they want to make a run in March, they got to find a new guy who really kind of emerges and sparks them. Brown Jones might be that guy for VCU.
Dominguez left open, in and out. Buttrick battles for the glass, but it's ripped away by the freshman Nunn. Curry, strong finish. A game-high 12 for Curry, and that's his most impressive deuce yet.
That's a big play because it's a great offensive rebound by Buttrick, but he doesn't have the strength to hold on to it. Gets the ball stripped by Nunn, and then the run out for Curry.
Curry a perfect 5 for 5 in this first half. Kelly, another turnover now. Curry with it, running the point. Wisely pulls it back out. Just inside a minute and a half left. VCU did lead by 15 at one point in this first half. One shy of that, now up 14.
Keep the ball hot. Great job.
Another good look inside. Curry will go to the line to shoot 2.
And here's a great transition play. There's Buttrick with a great offensive rebound, but then Nunn gets the steal, gets it out to KeShawn Curry. And then in the last possession, really, really great job of keeping the ball hot. Ace Baldwin got the double team, kicked it out to Vince Williams. One more to Nunn. Nunn drives, finds Curry. That's the kind of unselfish play and ball movement that really makes VCU hard to defend.
Such nice development each year, free throw in and out for KeShawn Curry. Modest production early when you were coaching against him as the head coach at George Mason. Averaged 2 points as a freshman, then up to 5, then up to 6, and now 10 this year. But recently, he's averaging 14 points per game this month.
You know, he's never been a great shooter, and so he was a guy that you could kind of keep in front of you off the dribble. But what he's done this year, he's become one of the best cutters I've seen in college basketball. When Ace Baldwin or Nunn or somebody's driving, he just finds a way to get inside and get an open opportunity. Really, really unsung hero with his cutting.
Buttrick finds his way to the lane, kicks it back out to Fernandez. As we approach the 1-minute mark, it's been all VCU. Fernandez tried to spin away, had the ball knocked away.
And there's a great example, Paul. Vince Williams, the four-man, alleged four-man, is guarding Fernandez. Fernandez couldn't get a step on him. He's got 6 inches of length on him, but he's every bit as quick. That's the versatility of Vince Williams on the defensive end.
You know, Mike Rhodes, the head coach, told us that he could guard the 1-man all the way through the 5-man inside if he has to.
And that's what he was doing.
Fernandez into the lane. Continues to struggle here in this first half. Misses back-to-back shots. Buttrick close to that rebound there. Everything
is under duress, Paul. Every single shot is challenged, physicality. If VCU could just hold UMass to 1 shot, they could run away with this game.
You look at just the shooting, Dave. VCU shooting 56%, while UMass making just 28% of its shots.
This is an elite half-court defensive team as well as a full-court defensive team. Again, that's under duress.
Williams skied for that rebound. A lot of contact inside with Mikel Brown-Jones at the focus. He had a strong block-out position, and he draws the foul.
Again, that's just the little things Mikel Brown-Jones is doing to block out, and then Vince Williams soaring through the air to go back in and get that defensive rebound.
VCU, we talked about, Dave, how they came in with offense not great, even though they're second in the league in the A-10. Trailing only Davidson. They're also second to last in scoring points, but now they're approaching 40 points here in this first half, and they're making well over half of their shots.
Yes, and again, I think if you look at the numbers for conference-only play, Paul, VCU's much better. And again, UMass statistically is the worst defensive team in the A-10, and you can't give them easy buckets in transition, and you can't give them easy shots at the foul line.
UMass giving up an average of 78 points per game, as Dave mentioned last. And VCU is exactly halfway there. Buttrick by himself. Oh!
What can Brown-Jones do for you?
Mikel Brown-Jones, and that leads to an easy lay-in for the freshman Jaden Nunn from one end to the other. VCU with his largest lead now at 18.
I'd love to see the numbers of block shots. You know, Mikel Brown-Jones, Vince Williams, they're just altering shots and blocking shots. Everything's under duress.
5 blocks now for VCU, none for UMass. Buttrick misses at the buzzer.
You know, Mikel Brown-Jones, Paul, he's been just phenomenal in a lot of ways. And, you know, I know they're going in that locker room say, what can Brown-Jones do for you? They'll be back at the half, but a great first half defensive effort by VCU. But they have to go inside out. You know, I thought it was important. Buttrick gave him some good minutes, 8 points, and off the bench, Greg Jones with 5 points. They've got to loosen things up around the basket to get Kelly and Fernandez going.
Ace Baldwin with the ball right now, and the last 4 games, averaging 6 assists per game. Dave, you already pointed out, he had 7 in the first half. Looks awfully good when he also only had 1 turnover.
Yeah, and he didn't score, but he doesn't need to. You know, he just needs to help run the team and make sure they win. When he needs to score, they will. And when he wants to distribute, he can do that.
Shot clock down to 4. Ward misses. And UMass with their first possession here in the second half.
Hassan Ward still doesn't look right coming off that ankle injury, but KeShawn Curry does.
He hasn't missed a shot yet today. He's not going to miss that one either. 6 for 6. Top scorer in this game.
And that wasn't full court pressure. That was just half court pressure and sloppy ball handling by UMass.
combined late in that first half. The Rams on another run, this one of a 10-0 variety.
Here's a stagger for Weeks, try to get him loose. UMass was working that on that shoot around, but their Jade Nunn commits a senseless foul. There's KeShawn Curry just really getting out of the passing lanes. He's just playing harder than the UMass guys, and that's just an unforced turnover.
6 out of 6, that includes 2 dunks. Averaging 14 points in the month of February, and now he is just above that, has 15 points.
And all his points, Paul, came from just playing hard. Just cutting hard on the offensive end, getting out in passing lanes, getting out in transition. He hasn't done anything spectacular, but he just plays hard. He plays within himself, and he plays within the system that the VCU coaching staff wants.
I thought his head coach, Mike Rhodes, paid him a great compliment when we talked to him on Thursday. He said 2 things about him, and Weeks has made 2 here, has 1 more coming. He said, I'm proud of him because he's playing better as a senior than he ever has, but specifically he's playing with a sense of urgency that you want a senior to, but yet he's still very much under control throughout the game.
And that's a subtle balance, and he's doing it exceptionally well, as is Vince Williams, their other senior.
All 3 free throws made. Ace Baldwin now beats Fernandez up the court. So we talked about Ace Baldwin and his assist, had 7 in that first half. Also the leading rebounder with 4. Mike Rhodes told us, hey, at this point of the season, we got to have you inside. What a look inside to Ward. And that's an assist from Jaden Nunn.
It's a great job by Ward, diving behind off the ball screen. UMass worried about the three-point shooting and gave him an opportunity to get inside the paint.
Fernandez, another misfire in the 3. This will be an easy one for Nunn. Now the ball was tipped a little bit too much toward the baseline, so he looks for Curry inside, now has it again. Baldwin left open for a 3, nails it.
Well, it was a rush shot by Fernandez. Again, he hasn't scored, or he's only scored 2 points. He rushed it, and then nobody rotated back defensively for UMass. It's one thing to miss a shot. You can't give up easy transition baskets.
First basket happens to be a 3 for the man with the top assist, 7 for VCU, also the most rebounds at 4. Everything clicking now for the Rams. Kelly, top 3-point shooter in the Atlantic 10, Dave. You just can't quite find it here.
No, and that was the first time he got an open look. They ran a good action where he back screened for the big man and then popped out. But he's just not in good rhythm.
Williams to Curry, his first miss. Look at Ward fight for it. And he misses twice. Buttrick with the rebound.
I do like how hard Ward is playing. He's not there yet. He doesn't have his skills yet, coming back off the ankle injury. But he's playing really hard. His activity will bode well down the road.
Baldwin just hit a 3 from inside the free throw line. Misses that one. Another rebound for Buttrick. And UMass, they season worst 23 points is all they scored in the first half. And 3 minutes in, they have 1 bucket in the second half. Foul called against Ward inside.
Here's Hassan Ward setting the ball screen and diving behind, and then Jaden Nunn just does a great job looking behind him, and then again off the steal and the poor transition defense, Ace Baldwin with just walking into it for a 3-pointer.
Baldwin 26% 3-pointers last year and up in the mid-40 range shooting from deep this year.
Yeah, Mike Rhodes said when he was out with the Achilles injury, he just shot underneath the basket in his boot and just worked on his form. And Ace Baldwin was a guy who was always trying to go to the park and play ball and compete, and he had to slow down and really work on the mechanics. And the results speak for themselves.
It's a great story. He said, I mean, this kid just plays basketball every day, and for the first time he couldn't play. And like you mentioned, all he could do was shoot. His points per game were up, his shooting percentage is up, and it hasn't hurt the rebounds or the assists, which are tops on the team today as well. Potential assist there, and there it is, his 8th. Williams gets the friendly bounce on the road.
Williams is really, really good cutting against the zone, finding the seam in the middle, and of course Ace finds him.
Look inside, that's a terrific pass from Fernandez to Stedman. Second basket of the second half now for UMass. Still they trail by 23. Speaking of wide margins, Dave, it's hard to believe this team lost by 30 to Dayton. As strong as Dayton is, they started the month of February with that massive loss, and they haven't lost since.
Well, I think sometimes, you know, when you play as aggressively as VCU does, and Dayton historically has handled the pressure well. Dayton's a very good team, even though they didn't play well today against LaSalle. But sometimes a loss like that really spurs your team to focus and accomplish a task at hand, and certainly VCU's done that ever since that game.
With Dayton with the big upset, the wrong side of it against LaSalle today. They have the top defense. Curry tried to get it inside, picked off by Buttrick. They have the #1 scoring defense in the A-10. VCU has the second best, and it's really interesting when you line up how they both do it, because Dayton has all that length and size inside. And Stedman inside is fouled, and he'll go to the line. But they're giant inside, and VCU is just athletic and active on the outside.
60 points per game tonight, still only 29, and we're almost halfway through the second half. And then they've already forced 14 turnovers. They average about 17 a game. So they're just really impacting the game with their defensive effort on every single possession.
We asked Mike Rhodes, and we talked to him on Thursday. Stedman's first free throw is in. How about your keys to the game? And he said, limit the threes, limit the threes, limit the threes. And UMass comes in #1 in the conference in that category, averaging 10 made per game. They've only made 2 so far.
Yeah, it's a really, really good effort level, focus. There's great length, great athleticism. But if I was Mike Rhodes in that timeout, I would talk about them tightening up their offensive execution. They're getting a little sloppy and playing down to the level of the game. I want to make sure they continue to keep the ball hot, take good shots, and attack the offensive glass.
Good shot missed there by Nunn. A rebound to Buttrick. Back up top. Hit one of those in the first half, and not even close. And Baldwin comes back looking for what would be a 9th assist. Easily a game high.
And there it is.
Oh, Buttrick affected that shot. Didn't get the block, but that led to the miss by Curry. Fernandez has 1 bucket in this second half. Back out to Kelly, as Dave mentioned, looking for his first 3-pointer, in the foul call there against Baldwin.
I think KeShawn Curry just missed a shot. Like, I didn't know that was possible. But again, a great find by Ace Baldwin, and then they're really harassing Rich Kelly. And VCU, I mean, UMass can't get into any kind of offensive rhythm.
Talked to Mike Rhodes, the head coach, during the week, and he said, yes, VCU's known for full court pressure and creating turnovers, but this team is really good with the half-court defense. And anytime you hold a team, UMass shooting less than 30%, to that kind of efficiency or lack thereof, it really stands out. Now that's a wonderful look inside to Buttrick. Small victory for UMass, but right back to Curry.
UMass needs more possessions like that. Inside, and then cut off the post feed and get themselves an easy bucket.
Baldwin back out to Nunn. True freshman draws the foul, and he'll go to the line.
Great read by Stedman inside, and Buttrick did a great job cutting to the basket. That's the kind of stuff that UMass needs to get. You don't have to score when the ball goes inside, but anytime the ball goes inside, every defender turns his head, looks, and that's when you get cuts off the backside for the hoop, or you can kick it out for a three.
Good finish to his collegiate career here in Amherst. Played in the Big Ten 4 years at Penn State. 79 games, he averaged 3 points and 3 rebounds in his 4 years in Happy Valley. Comes here averaging double figures. He's the only player for UMass today in double digits with 10 points.
What I like about Buttrick, he has lived off the three-point shot and hasn't really gone in the paint prior to today's game, but he's done a great job of driving the ball, cutting, getting to the foul line, really showing a complete game today.
He's up near the free throw line. Another turnover now committed by UMass. That's 15. VCU has only done so 7 times. Inside to Stockard. One-on-one against Stedman. Muscles his way in and finishes with the left hand.
That's an old school post move. Just used his strength, got Stedman off balance, kind of played pinball with him, and went to his left-hand jump hook. Great job here by Stockard. He takes his time, he's patient. Watch him get Stedman off balance with like a little bit of elbow in the chest. created some space and went up for his left-hand jump hook.
Just talked about Buttrick for UMass upping his production, going from Penn State to UMass. Stockard goes from Kansas State to VCU and does the same, doubling his point production, averaging just over 6 points per game here. Kind of showing off the depth of scoring that Mike Rhodes can bring off of his bench.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And last year, Stockard was a starting 5-man for VCU, and he scored even more. But with the emergence of Ward and Deloach, he's taken a little bit of a back seat, but he just comes in there and gives him that veteran presence around the basket. He can score, he can pass, and he's a really physical player.
Vince Williams up top to Curry, top scorer for the Rams. Into the lane, back out to Baldwin, has one of those this half, make it 2.
He had time to swing the ball and find the right seams and shoot it. He was really, really wide open, Paul.
Well, he's just a patient scorer, isn't he?
Yes, he really is. His maturity and his development from last year to this year is really impressive.
True pass-first point guard, torn Achilles in May and only missed 8 games this year. Top assist man and rebounder today for VCU. Deep 3 there for Fernandez.
Fernandez needed that one. He needed to see the ball go through, and hopefully that'll get him going here for the last 12 minutes.
Sometimes that's just the way, isn't it, Dave? You just need to see that ball go through. He didn't score in their last game on Wednesday. Struggling here today. And they'll need him here as they have 3 games coming up here. They go Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday again to wrap up their regular season before the Atlantic 10 tournament begins next Wednesday in D.C. Another turnover, Curry to Tsohonis, has Williams behind him, and he has the flush.
What I like about that, Tsohonis could have tried to take it in himself for a good shot, and he passed it up to make a great pass play to Williams for the slam.
Thinking about that Atlantic 10 tournament that begins a week from Wednesday. UMass right now, they came into this game in 10th out of 14 teams. The top 10 don't have to play. Good strong take inside there. And the finish by Javon Garcia. The top 10 teams don't play until Thursday. 11 through 14 will play on Wednesday to see if they get to take part in the rest of the tournament. Right now, UMass on that bubble of teams that will, the 4 that'll play Wednesday. Here on this day, the hottest team in the A-10. That's VCU with 6 consecutive wins, certainly looking the part from start to finish, in control here by nearly 20 points. Only a couple games left in the regular season, Dave, and here's what they have.
Well, and this is good for VCU because they want to bolster their opportunities to have an at-large NCAA tournament bid. So they're playing St. Bonaventure, they're playing St. Louis. They need to win both those games and win at least a couple in the A-10 tournament to put themselves in a better position to get an at-large bid should they not win the conference tournament.
Tsohonis missed an easy one there inside. And to revisit that thought, we've had seasons where 3 teams from the A-10 get in. You think only the winner of the tournament for the A-10 in DC is guaranteed in, and everybody else is that second place is a maybe?
Yeah, I think it's really tight, and the A-10 is such a good league. But what's happened is the ACC, the Big East, the Big Ten. They went from 18 games schedule to 20 game schedule, and so every time they play, they bolster their net. Right now, to feel safe to get in an at-large bid, you want to be 40 or below in the net. So right now, VCU, I think, is at a 58. Now, they'll have an opportunity if they could beat St. Bonaventure, if they could beat St. Louis on the road, and maybe win another game. But you want to feel comfortable in that 40 range. Right now, the only one I think feels relatively comfortable would be Davidson, which sits, I think, at 42 in the net. So there's really great parity in the A-10. The top teams have to win moving forward.
Baldwin inside to Tsohonis. That's 9 assists and a difficult turnaround floater there from Tsohonis. And by the way, VCU 24 points off of turnovers committed by UMass. Kelly yet to hit a 3, the top 3-point man for UMass. Couldn't get it to go inside.
Kelly's scoreless right now.
Yes,
I mean,
is.
that is just stunning. And you talk about VCU's mindset defensively. We're going to cut off the head. And we're going to cut off the head with Noah Fernandez and Rich Kelly. And they've done it so far. Fernandez with 7 points on 11 shots. Kelly held scoreless.
Number 1 in the A10 three-point shooting percentage. 49% coming in. Baldwin thought Tsohonis was looking. He gives it right to his head coach. Mike Rhodes was not happy to get that ball.
No, because here's Mike Rhodes, and I've been in this situation when you're having a really good team or a not-so-good team. He wants to play against the game now. He wants the guys to get better. He wants to get sharper. He does not want to play down to the level of the game because he knows if they're going to make a run, they can't have those unforced turnovers. They can't foul. They can't give up second shots. They've got to tighten up their game. Not play against UMass per se, but play against the game and try to get as close to perfection as possible.
17 turnovers now for UMass, and Matt McCall just on the sideline will have to shake his head. And back to not playing against the game. Certainly a first-class problem to have. When you're up by so much, you want your players to maintain that intensity that got them there. And there's a reach-in foul. Foul against Ace Baldwin. Weeks committing that foul. But no matter the sport, it's hard to think of something that makes a coach matter that when you're up 10, 15, 20 points and not playing at your best, the frustration level gets so high with that coach.
Well, there's no question about it because you want to play to perfection. You see what's down at the end of the road, and the kids look at you like you're crazy. The coach, we're winning by 20 points. Why are you yelling at me about turning it over? But you know that a pass like that and a poor catch, like we just saw from VCU, and then a stupid foul, those things hurt you in the postseason. And so that's what Mike Rhodes wants to correct. And on the other hand, Matt McCall, and I've been in that situation as well, you want to play against the game and not against the score. So you can't hang your head from adversity. You must continue to play extremely hard, make the right pass plays, defend, and you can't get down on yourself because they got another game on Monday, another one on Wednesday, and another one on Saturday. And that's the balance that both coaches are fighting right now.
Weeks misses the front end there. It comes back to VCU. And thinking about Matt McCall and UMass, they lost their first 4 games at the A10, but then they kind of put it back together. Last 10 games, they've been win-loss, win-loss. They've alternated back and forth. If they do go ahead and lose this one, it'll be the first time they've lost 2 in a row. And that's Curry all the way in. Count it. He'll have a chance to go to the line and make it a 3-point play, but this will be their first back-to-back loss effort that they've had since way back at the start of the A10 season. Curry with the cut and finds his way in. The foul and the basket, and the wonderful afternoon for him continues. He's made 7 out of 10 shots.
And again, in that case, great play by Curry, but really porous defense by UMass. And so that's the thing that Matt McCall wants to attack. We've got to get better in these last 9.5 minutes. Let's get better. We may not win the game, but let's draw a line and make sure that we continue to compete, continue to defend, and get better because you can turn things around in a heartbeat. I had a chance to see LaSalle lose to Fordham on Wednesday night. LaSalle didn't look very good. They turn around and beat one of the best teams in the conference in Dayton. Things can turn on a dime, and so UMass needs to continue to keep fighting and play the game the right way.
Tsohonis transfer from Washington, guarding the ball up top. A little help from Stockard. Jones inside to Stedman. Been averaging double figures the last 4 games, but has been quiet here today like the rest of the UMass offense. Ace Baldwin, good hustle on the floor. And with the possession arrow pointing back to UMass, the Minutemen will keep the ball. And Ward checks into the game. Stockard comes out.
One of the things for VCU, they know Stedman coming into the game with 6 assists, 18 turnovers. We saw that great assist he had to Buttrick, but he's turnover prone, and they're digging in, they're doubling, and they're trying to make him feel challenged.
VCU been fighting the turnover problem the entire season. Yes, they do lead the A10 in turnovers forced, and a foul committed there on the way to the basket, but they also, prior to this game, had the most turnovers committed in the A10. And they're winning that battle, at least here today, for Mike Rhodes.
Well, they are winning that battle, but they are still a little too sloppy for what they want to be able to do if they want to win 3 games or 4 games in 3 or 4 days in DC in the Atlantic 10 tournament, and if they want to make a run in the NCAA tournament.
Kearney inside to Ward, kicks it back.
There's another turnover.
And Brown Jones couldn't hang on. Javon Garcia, just Stedman. Good look inside. VCU lead is 20, and did they turn it over there trying to get it in bounds? They did.
Mikel Brown-Jones stepped over the end line. So again, this is the sloppiness that's creeping in for VCU. The last possession, there was a drive, rotation, and then Kern should have covered down and rotated to take away the layup, and he was left watching his man. So those are the kind of blunders that Mike Rhodes is going to show his team on film on Monday so they continue to get better.
Matt McCall, you're looking for small victories here. After this, they have 2 games in 3 days against Fordham. Turnaround Lefty Ward with the rebound, but if you can come away with a couple of wins there, get a little momentum heading into the tournament, this performance here would feel a ways in the rearview mirror. Tsohonis, little floater in the lane. 22-point lead now for the Reds. Jones into the lane, fouled by Ward. He'll go to the line to shoot 2.
It's a good move by Jones, and he's giving them a spark, and they're continuing to play hard, and that's really going to be important for UMass, as you said, just taking little baby steps.
Mike Rhodes' team on the brink of a 7th consecutive win, which would be their 20th of the year. Let's put this scenario out there. Let's say that they win the rest of the regular season games. You can certainly see that happening. They make it to the A-10 tournament, but then lose to Davidson. What would happen to their tournament hopes at that point?
Yeah, I think, you know, if they lose to Davidson in the championship game, I think they would be right. They would be right on the bubble, you know, and a lot. As I said, they play Bonaventure and they play St. Louis. Those are 2 good opponents. Right. So if they can win those games, that would help their net ranking. I don't know exactly how much. So much of that gets into the metrics. And then in the eye test, and I would hope that VCU and the people at VCU would be able to tell the committee, here's where our record is once Ace Baldwin came back. The tournament committee is supposed to take that into consideration. They were 4-4 without Ace, and now they're going to be 15-3, I think, with Ace Baldwin.
Well, Mike Rhodes was here for 5 seasons before taking over as a head coach at Rice and coming back to VCU. He's in his 5th season now as the head coach. And the ball thrown away, that'll come back to VCU. When we talked to him on Thursday, I asked him about similarities between this team and the ones he was an assistant on at VCU that were routinely winning 25, 26, 27 games a season. He said it starts with defense. We'll turn it over. We'll get steals. He said, I wish we shot the ball better, but our half-court defense on this team is tremendous. It
is a tremendous half-court defensive team. And I think everyone talks about havoc and how much they press, and they certainly do. But their half-court defense is elite. Nothing is easy against them. And I think one thing to understand is Mike Rhodes is doing this in the A-10. And that team that went to the Final Four did it in the Colonial Association. So night in, night out, the level of competition for VCU in the A-10 is stronger than what that team that got to the Final Four competed against in conference play.
Terrific take there by Hassan Ward, the putback. And that foul goes against VCU, and Garcia will go to the line. We're watching Hassan Ward inside there convert that last bucket. We see him there, number 26'9" junior out of St. Thomas, Barbados. You've talked about it throughout the game here, Dave, the fact that he's been dealing with a left ankle injury. A week ago, he didn't play. Played midweek in the win on Wednesday night, but didn't score. If he could start to kind of get back to where he was prior to that injury, one more layer of quality now for VCU, and the margin of error, unless they win that A-10 tournament, which they could, is so tight for them getting into the NCAA tournament. Could make a lot of difference to have big number 20 feeling good once again.
There's no question. Now there's an illegal screen, and that's just, you know, a lack of discipline by Hassan Ward. But I felt Hassan Ward had a sprained ankle early in the year, wasn't playing great, and then he had 3 straight games heading into the Fordham game where he really, really played exceptionally well. And then he hit 3 little jump hooks against Fordham early in the game, and then he injured his ankle. And he's not quite the same, but there's another week left of the regular season. You know, a lot can happen in that week. If he gets to full strength, he gives them an added dimension.
Mike Rhodes told us when we talked to him that this team loves to come back late at night to Indy Arena and shoot. Our GAs are getting a lot of time rebounding, and it's shown up today. And as much as Mike Rhodes told us, I wish we shot the ball a little better. Stedman, left hand, no good. And the rebound to the Rams. They're making more than half of their shots here today, at least.
Well, like in that possession, there's not a lot of aggression shown against them. I mean, that was just an easy drive. It was like the Red Sea parted. He could get all the way to the hoop. So it's easier to make 50% when you're getting the ball 2 feet from the basket.
And they haven't had to shoot too many three-pointers, although 40% is pretty good from distance. They've made 4 out of 10. Inside to Jones, finally goes up with it. It's it to bounce on home.
Well, that's what you want to see from UMass. You want to see them compete to the final buzzer, keep getting better. I was at practice yesterday. Greg Jones was the loudest guy in the gym. I loved his energy. I loved his spirit. It's great to see him rewarded with a couple good plays here.
Tsohonis fights to keep it alive. Back to Jones, pushes it up. One-hand pass to Fernandez. Deep three launch. He ends up on the ground. He'll shoot 3 free throws. The foul there from Nick Curran Jr.
Well, Nick Curran looks befuddled at the foul call. I couldn't tell from my angle. But you don't want to foul a jump shooter because that was a rushed run into a three-point shot from deep. I think a low percentage that it was going to go in, but now you get a guy like Fernandez a chance to get to the line. As I assess VCU, I think they're an elite defensive team. I think they're an improving offensive team. I think what they have to correct, if they want to go on a run, they have to foul less. They have to be a little bit better on the defensive glass, and they got to get a little bit better at taking care of the ball. And all those things are doable for VCU, and then I think they're going to be a really tough out in the A-10 tournament, and hopefully for them in the NCAA tournament.
After that whistle, 2 shots still remaining now for Fernandez. Now, Dave, you were a head coach in the A-10 for 6 seasons, and you had a winning record in your 6 seasons, so you weren't on this side too often. But can you remember heading into a final week of the regular season where you were really eyeing, okay, the season as a whole hasn't been what we want it to be, but we've got a couple more games left. The KeShawn UMass, they have 3. We've got the tournament, and if this last week and a half feels good, the offseason will feel so much better than it would if we continue to kind of be up and down.
No question about it, and I think you just want to keep getting better. And, one of the things I was fortunate, we had really good kids that I coached, and we kept getting better as the year went on. So in every season, we went in, even last year with a 5-game winning streak, going in the A-10 tournament, and then anything can happen once you get to tournament play.
UMass continues to struggle from downtown, which has been the best part of their game all season. They've made 3 out of 16 three-pointers. They average 10, tops in the league. Ball swatted away, and Garcia called for the foul there against Jaden Nunn.
One of the things that is good for Mike Rhodes here, because he said we got to make sure our mind's right. We're going to make sure our body's right. And this margin right now allows him to rest Vince Williams, allows him to rest Ace Baldwin. Those guys have logged lots of minutes. It gives some other guys a chance to play, but I don't think you'll see either Ace or Vince the rest of the way.
And a good chance for Mike Rhodes to has a conversation with the official, but a great chance to get his top guys, as you mentioned, some rest heading into the final week of the regular season and to the Atlantic 10 tournament, which for them will begin a week from Thursday.
Well, possibly Friday. The top 4 teams, Paul, get a double bye. So likely VCU wouldn't have to play. They'd only have to win 3 games in 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So, UMass wants to stay out of the bottom 4. VCU wants to certainly be in the top 4.
And right now, great take to the basket there by C.J. Kelly. And right now, VCU sitting in second place. Tsohonis for a 3, miss. And UMass comes back with it. And Dayton, they were tied with VCU in second place. They lost earlier today, upset by LaSalle. 3 in and out. It's now 3 for 17 for UMass, 3 for 18 from deep. And the putback there by Michael Stedman.
Paul, I'm going to be honest with you. This is some ugly basketball right now. This is a game of probably both coaches are just saying, let's get this game over and let's not get anyone hurt. I don't think the result is in any kind of doubt. You just want to play hard, you want to play smart, and you don't want anyone to get hurt. What I liked was what we saw in the film with Mike Rhodes talking to KeShawn Curry and Jaden Nunn saying, hey, we can't get sloppy. We can't play against the score. We got to play against the game. Let's execute. Let's finish this game the right way.
February has been the best month of Curry's collegiate career, averaging 14 points, making over half his shots. He made 7 out of 11 today. Good block from the backside there. And the ball will come back to UMass.
Looks like we're going to another media timeout.
Hey, thinking about Davidson. VCU here has a connection to them. They're in second place, Davidson in first. The Rams have won 9 out of 10 since a 2-point loss to Davidson back on January 18th. That game now over a month ago. When you compare VCU, second in the conference, to the top team, Davidson, what do you see?
Well, they're contrasting styles. You know, VCU's full court pressure defense, just relentless defense, and Davidson, just an elite offensive team, and they can score in so many ways. But what's interesting is Davidson's vastly improved on the defensive end, and VCU's improved since they played earlier on the offensive end. I think that really would be an interesting potential title game matchup.
Almost had a good look inside. Mike Rhodes, the head coach, told us it's just been about shot selection and taking care of the ball. Something, you know, the midpoint of the season, they weren't doing quite as well as they're doing now. And the three drilled by Josh Banks, the sophomore, getting some playing time here with his team way up in the second half.
What I like about that, Curry penetrated, could have gotten, you know, 20 points, could have gotten more points, but he made the unselfish play and got Banks on the scoreboard. And then a great defensive play by Banks to take the charge.
VCU's two leaders in Williams and Baldwin on the bench resting. There's the charge taken by the Rams. Josh Banks hits the three.
And one of the things, Paul, Josh Banks was a highly touted recruit coming out of high school. And he's, you know, accepted a more limited role for VCU, but given the opportunities come in and made the most of it. And that's one thing I think Mike Rhodes has done exceptionally well. Really talented guys to buy into defending at a high level and sharing the ball and being unselfish and accepting the roles. That's a mark of an elite coach.
As you get to know the VCU Rams and read about them and just kind of study them for the week or so getting ready for a game like this, it's really impressive how many of them picked VCU over, quote, bigger schools from the Power Five, and they decide to come here and play for the Rams. And it's not just one or two guys. It's a roster full of players who had some really good options out of high school.
Well, the majority of them. And a guy like Ace Baldwin choosing VCU, you know, just an elite point guard. And we talked before about Bones Highland. But what's impressive to me is guys like Mikel Brown-Jones, who was an elite recruit, chose VCU over quote-unquote Power 5 programs, and has waited his turn and keeps working and getting better. And the same with Josh Banks. So it's a very talented roster, and it's a group of guys that is bought into being unselfish and getting better. Mike Rhodes is frustrated with that sloppy turnover. Again, wants to make sure that they play all the way through to the final buzzer. Easier said than done.
We've talked about the issues UMass has had offensively throughout the day, Dave. And Rich Kelly scoreless today for UMass, the top three-point shooter in the A-10.
Yeah, that's...
whoa, oh, my goodness. Wow. Preston Santos up the elevator for that putback.
That was pretty impressive, and that's great to see. And then there's a nice steal and a dunk for Dominguez.
Back-to-back dunk finishes there for the Minutemen as we approach the 1 minute mark. First couple of offensive highlights in the second half. They've trailed by 20 or more the majority of this second half. Also for a part of the first half, they were down by 15 or more. VCU has never trailed in this game. And Stockard now with a chance to make it a three-point play. Preston Santos, just a wow put back there with the slam, and then seconds later Dominguez dunk of his own. Not enough of that though for UMass throughout this afternoon. Shooting has been such a problem. Still in the 30s with their shooting percentage even after those easy ones inside at 37%. Stockard misses. Stands out even more as VCU has made 53% of its shots.
Rich Kelly back in the game. Going to see if he can maybe get on the scoreboard. Doesn't look like it.
And that's his brother. Had that one rattle in and out. John Kelly, both from Shelton, Connecticut. Brown Jones with a turnover. Make it 2 dunks in the last couple of minutes for Preston Santos.
Mike Rhodes does not look like the man who just won his 7th game in a row and won by 15 points. I've been there. But Rhodesy, that's 7 in a row. Just enjoy it, get on the bus, and get home safe.
That's still a 15-point win where for much of the game you were up close to 20 points or more than 20 points. So Mike Rhodes has another 20-win season. VCU improves to 20-7 overall. And UMass with a 2nd consecutive loss. Also, congratulations to Mike Rhodes. You see there his 100th win as a head coach at VCU. He's now deep into his 5th season back with the Rams.